married to Noel, and Noel is my business partner in Balloon HQ.
Very
I
good.
worked in the corporate world for more years than I want to count at this stage, and but that's where I learned all my wonderful and gained all my wonderful experience.
Very
Having
good.
left the corporate world, I then moved into retail, and then set up my own business in 2017.
So peering back the years then, what were you like as a child?
Oh, I was very, very quiet, very shy. Loved the outdoors, spent lots of time with my grandparents. They had loads of animals, so I loved cows and pigs and ducks and chickens and all those things. So I spent a lot of my childhood outdoors with animals and with my grandparents and my siblings.
And knowing you today, Emma, how did you manage to come out of your comfort zone? May I ask, if you're so quiet as a child?
Yeah, John, that is so true. And I see, it's funny how you see things and you reflect back on how you were, because I see it in my own children now, how quiet they are. So I was extremely shy, and all through secondary school and even in college, I had a very kind of close-knit friends, didn't socialize, didn't go out. And actually, believe it or not, when I was in the corporate world, I had my role and I loved my job. And that was one of the main things, I suppose, dealing with so many different people at all different levels. That certainly helped me develop my own personal skills and conversation and all of those things. So that's really one of the main reasons how I came to become more, I suppose, outgoing and sociable. And then when you start working for yourself and get involved in networking, you have to go put yourself out there and connect in with people, and be able to conversate and all of those things. So yeah, a number of things have helped me change to become who I am today.
Would you still regard yourself as being an introvert, or would you regard yourself as extroverted?
I'd say I'm a mix of the two, John, if I was honest. I go into situations, and it probably pre-COVID, if you asked me this question, I would have said absolutely an extrovert, and then with COVID, the way things have happened and nobody was going anywhere, and you get used to not going anywhere and being on Zoom. So getting back into kind of the face-to-face situations, I do feel a little bit more, if I'm honest, you feel a little bit more uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm definitely a mix between both.
So if you were to walk into a network room and you see a room there of 40 or 50 people, they're having great conversation, you just walk into that room, what's the first thought that comes into your head?
I just go, here goes, take a deep breath and walk up to two people that are together smiling and chatting and say, hi, do you mind if I join you? That's how I'd go about it.
Yeah. I would probably get a slight complex about it and say, how am I going to talk to somebody here today? But I think networking is a skill that you acquire, and the more you practice it, the better you become at it.
Absolutely, I would 100% agree with you. I mean, when I worked in the corporate space, so pre-2013, I never networked outside of my job, my 9-to-5 job, or whatever that scenario was. But since then, I've networked and been involved in a number of different networking organisations, from BNI to the County Kildare Chamber, Dún Laoghaire Chamber, and mostly Network Ireland and our Kildare branch. And for me, networking and connecting with people that are like-minded, that face the same issues regardless of your business, you learn from each other on a personal level and on a business level. So it's key for any person looking to kind of progress their career or indeed their business.
Yeah, I think you've given some great tips there to people who are on the introversion scale in terms of networking skills. Preparation is so important, and also self-confidence, believe in your story without being too big-headed, I suppose you could say. And when you go to that room, go in with an air of confidence, and people will warm up to you. But also, I think it's so important to make yourself vulnerable to your audience and tell your own story. Don't try to be too perfect, because that just turns people off, I find. Yeah.
I agree, John. I mean, none of us are perfect. And the reality is, when you go into that room, you can bet that every person, or a lot of those people in that room, felt exactly the same or feel exactly the same as you do. And you just have to take that deep breath. And then you start chatting. And once you have the first breakthrough conversation, you can take a deep breath and feel more at ease, you know. So I do agree that we all have the same nerves, but they're soon put to bed when you make the first step through that door.
True, very true. Emma, describe for the audience what motivated you to set up Balloon HQ.
Well, John, I was in a very interesting, some would say, difficult situation, but in 2012-2013, I decided to leave Aircom after working with the wonderful company for a number of years. And I just decided that I wasn't fulfilled. There was something missing. I had a fantastic job. I had a company car. I just had my first baby, pregnant on my second, and my parents thought I'd absolutely lost my mind because I was leaving such a secure job. But there was something not right, and I dreaded going to work every morning. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to leave. I was very lucky that there was an opportunity to apply and get a voluntary redundancy package, which I availed of. And then I had the opportunity to work in a business in the retail space. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew it wasn't Aircom any longer. So I got involved in that business in the retail space and worked there for a number of years. Unfortunately, in 2016, that business closed. And my husband also worked in the same business with me during that period. So all our eggs had been in the same basket. Business closed. So come Christmas 2016, that was it. What were we going to do? So I had, and still to this day, have a wonderful mentor and confidant in Blaise Brosnan, which some of your audience may know through the local enterprise office. And I contacted Blaise and said, oh my God, what am I going to do? My confidence had hit an all-time low. I really didn't know where I was going to turn. So I had a meeting with Blaise, and on the same day, I was actually offered a job by a well-known company as a buyer. And I'll never forget the conversation. I sat in the Osprey with Blaise Brosnan, and he said to me, you're not going to take that job. You're going to do this yourself. You can do it. And I had an idea of Balloon HQ based on my corporate experience and the previous experience I had from sales and marketing. And there was a niche in the market for brand activations and all of that. So he said, you can do this. So off I went, did my business plan, made a plan, and didn't take the job, and started Balloon HQ in May 2017. So here we are in July 2022. And it hasn't been all plain sailing. It's been up and down and in and out, and COVID has taught us lots, but it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. Can you describe for the audience what fears you encountered between meeting Blaise Brosnan and incorporating or starting Balloon HQ?
Absolutely, John. I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm glad someone has faith and confidence in me, because mine was gone. So I had the fear of, how can I do this? How will I build up customers? You know, how am I going to market the business? I knew if I was having this business, so I was very clear on what I needed to get the business. It was that journey I was terrified of. So there was a mixture of fear and that wonderful monkey in my head telling me, the one saying, no, you can't do it. Then you have the moment of, yes, I can, when you actually clearly write everything down. So it was fear, excitement, fear again, you know, I suppose the thought of the journey. Then I had people really good friends saying, yes, you can do it. And my network, I turned to them. And then you had family, people saying to you, oh no, take the job, it'll be much easier. But you know what? I still wanted that fulfillment piece, and I knew that self-employment could give me that. So with the mix of fear and excitement, I went on that journey.
Very good answer. I think what you're saying there, Emma, is that you had your goal, you knew what you wanted to achieve, but it was taking that first step was the difficult part for you. It was the difficult. Too much too soon. I think you realize that it's better to take small steps and get small successes behind you and build from there.
Do you know, John, that is absolutely it in a nutshell. And you learn over the years and a clear picture, you know, it's like you enjoy the journey, you know, it's not just about getting at the destination right now, you know, in not being like it's 5 years times, it's 5 years for a reason, that you can't be there this year, you know, or in that moment. So it was having that clear plan. And the more, once I got started and registered the business and got all of that done, you know, and followed my plan and had my monthly targets and start achieving those and getting customers under our belt and growing the business, I could take a breath. But then you want to take it to the next stage and the next stage. So, you know, at some stages you're nearly back at the beginning, but with learned experience. And that's what's really important.
Great answer. And having started Balloon HQ, did any doubts come into your mind, or did you get any negative self-talk saying to yourself, I've made a mistake here, perhaps you should go back to full-time employment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I certainly did have those moments of, oh my God, you'd be out for a walk and you think, what have I just, like, why did I not just take that job, you know, when I had the chance, or, you know, it's just that self-doubt. But you have to have those pep talk, you have to talk to yourself and get yourself out of that and realize, no, I can achieve this. So, you know, what I often did was sat down and looked at, in those small spaces of time, well, what did I achieve? I mean, we had customers that we never had before. And then, you know, in 2019, we won a fantastic contract. And that really, really gave us the boost, you know, to, well, it was 2018, stroke 2019, to move forward. And that kind of reinstilled, you know, yes, you can do it, Emma. And yeah, now do I look and say, would I ever work in the corporate world? Who knows, John? But for now, we're plodding along and we're doing our very best with the clients that we have by looking after them really, really well.
I think you're making a great point there, Emma. It's all about being of service to your clients. That's how you build a client base, get referrals, and build even more clients. So can you describe for the audience how your view of success has changed since you transitioned from working in the corporate sector with Aircom and then now working in Balloon HQ?
Yeah, I sure will, John. So for me, like in my 20s, I still like to think I'm 21, by the way, but in my 20s, you know, success for me was a great job, a company car, travel, all of those things. And you know what? It was the right feeling for that time. But then I transitioned, had my children, and that's what success looked like for me, having a happy family life. And then it was moving to the next stage of, well, having that and having our own business. So success looks so different for everyone. But for me, it's about being truly happy inside, having a good night's sleep, being available and being there for my children, being there for myself and my family. And COVID has certainly taught us that with all the changes we have. So, you know, it changes per era, if that kind of makes sense, John. And it's about, you know, it's about having that ambition for our little business, that we're making, I suppose, a mark on our community and for our customers and for our children, and teaching them and letting them see the opportunity of, you know, yes, you can work for someone else, but what you can do for yourself and what that means. So success for me is about ultimately being happy and having a happy life.
What did you learn about yourself as a person when you decided to face up to and deal with the fears that you encountered before you started Balloon HQ and after starting Balloon HQ?
I didn't realize that I was as resilient as I am. Yeah, that was one thing. I found a power and a strength deep within me that I never realized that I could utilize to help me along my journey to success in Balloon HQ and in my family. And sometimes you really, really have to dig deep. And I think, John, you'll agree, there's not one person that hasn't had to dig deep in the last few years, whether on a personal or a business level, you know, through COVID. So definitely it's that power within us all. We all have it. It's tapping into it and, taking out the good pieces, working on the pieces that kind of are still negative, and you can turn them into a positive.
True.
To help you move forward. So, working with that monkey inside my head saying, no, you can't do it. Yes, you can do it. Well, how can I do it? And just taking those little steps and monitoring them. So yes, the resilient piece and the strength within myself got me through, and still to this day gets me through.
That's a great answer, and well done to you, because I do think when people are forced to dig deep and look within themselves, they actually are more resilient than they give themselves credit for in the first place. And you're also mentioning there, I think, that when you worked in Aircom, you were in business development roles, you were in sales roles. At the end of every month, your salary was guaranteed. When you started Balloon HQ, you had to dig deep to get your customers to give you the money to pay yourself a family, a salary. Yes. To run the home and pay for your family's way in life.
That's exactly it, John. And that was one of the things, and maybe it's from my upbringing and all of that, but I always felt, it was something I wanted to experience and do, to be able to, fulfill that dream of, yes, working for myself and finding our own path and not relying on someone else to employ me or whatever. So I wanted to experience what was that like, and could I actually do it? So it was like a challenge in itself, and that grew its own legs, So and there's something very rewarding about that when you've time to reflect on it.
Well done. That's a great answer, and fair play to you for having the honesty to give a great straight answer. Explain for the audience how your passion, creativity, and ability to provide innovative solutions has been crucial to the success of your business.
Well, I suppose when we started out, John, for Balloon HQ, we are an innovative creative design agency. So we had to think outside the box and work with our clients on brand activations on their events and how they could have the wow factor. But that had to be in line with their strategy, with their within their budgets and all of that. So listening was a key part of that. So if their event is successful, then we in turn are successful. So that was kind of key in kind of looking at kind of those areas and developing solutions that fit our needs. That fit our needs and indeed our clients' needs. But moving forward, then we had to adapt and innovate during COVID, and we I suppose introduced gifting solutions for our corporate clients, which kept them in our customers, getting their brand in front of them, whether that was through merchandise or the awards ceremonies, all the Zoom award ceremonies. So we would project manage solutions where we would send a branded gift box with all the merchandise in it on a set date to arrive for all their employees so they could have their award ceremony that evening. So we got really innovative and creative during lockdown, and that's a fantastic revenue stream for us today. We also availed of the trading online voucher for our website.
Very good.
Fully e-commerce, so that our consumers, our B2C market, could buy from us online. So we had to get creative and we had to get innovative. And also in 2020, actually, I was awarded the leading light for local enterprise office in Kildare for how we innovated in our business to move forward and to stay going, because our event industry, as Balloon HQ, or as people understood Balloon HQ to be, literally went overnight on the 12th, 13th of March. And that week back in 2020, we had a sea of green, white and orange balloons available because it was coming into Patrick's Day, and there was going to be flags and garlands and bunting and everything everywhere, but that all just went. So we really had to start thinking outside the box. And I think for the first 6 weeks, everyone kind of enjoyed, if I can say that word, of it was enjoy, it was fear, it was like, oh, what are we going to do? And the weather was great. And then it was like, well, no, we need to put our heads down here now and start focusing on how we can move forward. So that's what we did.
Well done to you for having the for innovating in a difficult time, because your traditional market of corporate events or company events, that wasn't in place for the moment, and you had to, do something different to keep the money flowing into the business to pay your way in life. So, fair play to you. Describe for the audience the emotions you experienced when you were announced as the Network Ireland SME Businesswoman of the Year 2016.
Oh, John, you're bringing me back down memory lane now. Well, for the audience, I'm heavily involved in Network Ireland, but I joined Network Ireland in late 2015, and I entered the awards at a Kildare level, not having a dream or a notion that I would get anywhere. I had fantastic competition. Very healthy, which I believe is essential, but we all got on really well. And I remember sitting in Palmerstown House the night of the event. I'm thinking back now, and I was in great company with Sorka from Urban Kitchen. She was in my category along with a few others. And I remember the night my name was announced in Kildare, I went, oh my God, that can't be me. And it was just wow and amazing. And you just go, wow, I can do it. Like the judges obviously saw something, sometimes when you don't see it yourself. And then I went on to represent Kildare at a national level, and that was held down in Cork. Dee Waldron was the national president at the time. And I remember the night of the awards nationally in Cork, I was sitting there, and the judges were all there, and they stood up and they started talking about this person. I was like, I have a logo or a quote that I always use, John. Maybe I can share it with you. Your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, and how you leave people feeling after they've done business with you is your trademark. And I had quoted that on my application, and I also used it in my application. And the judge announced it, the AIB judge announced that quote. And for that moment, I went, oh my God. So there's a picture of me on the internet, face all scrunched up with the award, so thrilled. It just brings so many memories. But that also gives me confidence when I look back, that anyone can do it. And, awards, and not that you need an award for a recognition, but sometimes awards are a fantastic way to get your brand out there. So I'll definitely give Network Ireland a little plug there in terms of our awards for our business women, and they're held nationally, and I would encourage anyone to enter them.
Fair play to you, and well done for having a go in the first instance. And as you then entered the competition, you won in Kildare, then you went on to win at a national level. And it goes to show, unless you put yourself forward, you don't know where you're going to go in life. Because by not putting yourself forward, effectively, you're limiting yourself. You're playing safe. By going forward in competition, your boundaries are limitless. So great.
And I love that, because, the business doesn't come to you. People don't know your story unless you share it. So it can be uncomfortable, and it is uncomfortable, but put yourself out there. It is so worth it, whether you win or lose, because you'll always learn something. And that might sound like a bit cliche, but you do. You learn something about your business, you learn something about yourself. So it's 100% worth going for. I would encourage anyone, regardless of the business types of awards, just go for it.
So 3 remarkable things I can take away from today's interview are, firstly, resilience. Citing the example of Emma, she had to dig very deeply when she started her business to find strengths within her. She did that. That's a great example of resilience.
Thanks, Joe.
Secondly, before launching any business, it's worthwhile bouncing your business plan off an experienced business executive who you can have trust and faith in. And citing the example of Emma talking to Blaise Brosnan is a great example of that. And thirdly, Emma talked about being of service to her customers. And also she talked today about innovating in difficult times, because her main income stream of doing branded corporate events was taken away from her during the COVID period. She had to think quickly on her feet and develop new products for her clients. So there are 3 great takeaways from today's interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before I let you go?
John, I just want to first of all thank you for the opportunity to be here today. It's an absolute pleasure. And I would say to anyone, we all have, it's no straight line running a business. There's up days, there's down days, there's good days, but acknowledge the small wins, whatever they are for you. I would really recommend that on a weekly basis. Gratitude is really important, and surround yourself with wonderful people in your network. And, I'm on another exciting journey. I'm launching another new business in September, John. So I would just say to you, credit yourself for the small wins and the difficult times, acknowledge them, move forward, and pick up the phone and chat to someone in your network, or indeed myself or John at any stage if you need a supporting hand.
And on that note, I bring today's show to an end. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, John.
You're very welcome.